guys. 11:30 a.m. here in Australia, 2:30 p.m. in New Zealand. I think that makes it, 8:30 p.m. US Eastern Daylight Time. So, welcome, guys, to Under the Rug. I'm Andrew. That's Neil. Hey, Neil.
Woohoo! Hi, guys.
Hope you're all well. Man, what a freaking week it has been. Actually, I'm just going to share exactly what I just shared with you, Neil. So, for those of you who don't know, I've been taking these blends that Neil introduced me to. They're called Interstellar Blends. And what's the guy named? Gavin. Now,
Gavin
Neil
McGowan.
introduced me to these Interstellar Blends about, 3-4 years ago? 4 years ago, probably.
Yeah.
And there's a whole heap of different blends for they're herbs and things that you put in your coffee and you drink. I remember the first time that Neil, he goes, "Yeah, have some of this." We're at Singapore. Remember that? We're at where were we going? I can't remember. We're at the business class lounge at somewhere. We're at Singapore lounge anyway, and he goes, "Try this." And I was like, "Oh my god, that tastes like shit." But he had all of his blends in, mushrooms, a whole lot. But anyway, long story short, yesterday I was incredibly flat. I've only just recently started retaking these blends. I've had 18 months where I've just been sort of keeping a low profile. Hey, Sam, how you doing, man? I started taking these blends just over a week ago again. And I was like, man, I feel so much better. And yesterday I was flat. We watched the Trump announcement yesterday, and we'll have a bit of a chat about that today. But I was just flat. Anyway, this morning I was just telling Neil, went in, started making my coffee, and Sarah goes, "Oh, did you have any blends yesterday?" I was like, "You made my coffee." And she goes, "Oh, yeah, I didn't put any in." I said, "You made my coffee the day before as well?" And she goes, "Oh, yeah, no, I didn't put any in either." It's like, what? No wonder I feel like shit. So I think the only thing that kept me going yesterday was the fact that I actually did meditate for an hour and journaled and was like, "Hey, yeah, cool." But no, so feel much better today.
So and just sort of quick disclaimer on anything here that Andrew's saying, and it's like, I've been on the health journey before I got into crypto and the financial side of things and the bigger picture of things. But it's like, I found so many different wonderful products, but none of them are MLM. There's no money to be made out of it. You just share that they're good, So it's like the amount of people's lives that I've seen change through the things that I've discovered along the way is just it's brilliant. And some of them are good, and they cost a bit. You're bringing in the American dollar, but to be able to maintain our health doesn't need to be expensive. Know that our bodies can heal themselves.
Yeah.
Just give them the right tools.
Can't they? But that's a whole other episode there. Bodies can heal ourselves. And as you rightly pointed out, Kimmy was on here a week ago or a couple of weeks ago and said about frequency. And you know, I just watched a very, very interesting documentary. Was it yesterday you shared or the day before? Day before.
Yeah.
Do you remember the name of it?
Michael Tellinger is the man. If you go and search Michael Tellinger on YouTube, I'll try and find it. And,
it's about 3 hours long. It's freaking awesome. You should definitely go and watch it. It's a lot of talks about a lot of the stuff that's been swept under the rug, funnily enough. So really.
Well, I think the first video we recommended was the lost history of the flat Earth, and then I watched Michael Tellinger the other day, and I'm like, oh my god, this has got to be the next one that flows on from the lost history of the flat Earth, or the hidden history of the flat Earth. It's like, oh my god. And it just takes it to a whole new level. It's like, wow.
It's funny, with that, you think about that, and he talks a lot about, he talks about Taurus stones and toroidal energy, right?
Yeah.
We're not allowed to talk about that? No.
I know when you see it's like I just got a whole boost of toroidal energy coming through.
It's crazy. But you couple that with the other video that I watched a couple of weeks ago. Hey Joe, how you doing? The other video I watched a couple of weeks ago about some Brazilian scientists that they set out to prove whether the Earth was a sphere or not. Not that it was flat, just whether it was a sphere or not. I don't know what shape it is, but they proved that it wasn't spherical with their experiments. And anyone that's watching this and says, "Oh, but NASA's shown us photos," NASA's shown you computer simulations. NASA's a joke, but anyway, that's another story. But it ties into that ties into what Michael Tellinger said about the toroidal energy and how in the middle of a toroidal or torus stone toroidal energy, there's a flat plane. There has to be, and according to the scientists and NASA, then the Earth is the only thing in the whole freaking galaxy that doesn't have a flat plane. What do they call it? The negative center or something.
0 point, really.
0
at the end
point.
Of the day.
That's it.
Right where it is. But see, when we talk about that, everything that we know or think that we know, it's really been a lie.
Yes.
And Michael Tellinger gets right into it, and from being in South Africa, but talks about the giants that used to live here. There's so much evidence out there about the people or the beings that were here before us.
Yeah.
It's like, why isn't that in our history?
Yeah.
There's so much,
because
it's like,
Neil,
well,
is that a
here's the
rhetorical
thing.
question?
Well, where I'm going with that is like, if we're not questioning that, just that one thing, which there's so much blooming stuff out there that you can research yourself. What else? Well, if you're not going to question that, then keep your head in the friggin' sand or up your ass or wherever it is, because it's like you're not really living. You're not living.
Absolutely. It's crazy. He came up. He listed a whole heap of other giant species that were here that I didn't know about. I knew of the Nephilim, and I thought that was it. I thought the Nephilim were the giants, but there was a whole heap of them. And he in that video just blew my mind. He said that he gave a unit of measure, and he said, "Oh yeah, this was about 3,000 of these units high, and these units, they're one unit was half a meter, so they're literally like 1.5 kilometers high. This freaking giant, like they've got the bones. These things existed."
Yeah.
And when you watch the history of the Lost Earth or whatever it's called, I can't remember. He talks about the Silica Age and the trees being cut, doesn't he? About the mountains. Remember that? And of course, Michael Tellinger explains that as well. Really interesting. Really interesting. Anyway, we're going a little bit off topic. Yesterday there was a big announcement. What happened yesterday, Neil? Actually, before we go on any further, guys, just let Anunnaki was one of them, Joe. There's like 5 or 6. Just how's our sound? Are we balanced, or am I too loud, or is Neil too quiet? Because Neil's kind of quiet in my headphones, but and I can adjust that here. So let us know. But Neil, what happened yesterday, bro?
Well, there was something pre the elections, the midterms in the States, and Trump did a big speech at Ohio, and had his and it was the first of any of his presentations that his plane was parked directly behind him, and the precision that they did to get it there was a feat in and of itself. And there was a lot of stuff that on all the other speeches and the rallies that he's done, he's always had a crowd behind him, but this time he had an aircraft there. And anyway, at the end of that speech,
is that so you could make a quick getaway so you didn't get hit by eggs?
Maybe. Well, no, that's Biden's got to do that.
Okay, sorry, I got it mixed up.
He can't get up the stairs on those things anyway. So he's really, sorry, was that, we shouldn't have said that. Oh, I said it now. But so he said that there's I'll be making a big announcement publicly on the 15th of November. So that created a lot of anticipation for yesterday, and there was a lot of optics in there, but I think really what was significant, one of the big things that came out of that for me initially was the fact that he had all the media there. Like, they've hardly covered any of his rallies whatsoever. We've seen most of it through social media, and what we have seen through mainstream media has been manipulated for their own purposes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they had all of the global media there yesterday at Mar-a-Lago for his speech, which, in all honesty, if you kind of overlay them from the one he did the week before at Ohio to
very
now,
similar.
they appeared to be very similar.
Appeared to be. I like the way you put that. Appeared to be. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You got an echo. Don't know what's going on, mate.
Well, I'm no different than when I was last week. I'm in the same room.
Yeah, you had an echo last week too. Guys, tell us if that's made a difference. I just clicked something in here and actually meet.
The echoes, it's just, because Corolla's in Canada, she's getting the echo all the way over there, around the other side of the world, around being a little bit of tongue in cheek.
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully I've adjusted those levels. Corolla's saying it's are we perfect? Okay,
Perfect.
cool.
Perfect.
We'll see if that makes a difference.
Yeah.
So to set up now, you said something in there that I was like, oh. You said something that I was like, oh, we need to come back to that because we need to give a little bit of context behind it. I can't think of what it was now. But anyway, Trump billed that as being, potentially one of the biggest days in the United States history. Now, I know there'll be a lot of people out there that'll go, oh yeah, but Trump's full of his own, loves blowing smoke up his ass. Yes and no. Trump's a showman, 100%. He knows how to, and certainly the media have portrayed him over the last 6 years as being something he's potentially not. What he has been is a thorn in the Democratic side, in the deep state side. Let's be honest. Let's call it what is the deep state side. He's been a thorn in their side because he didn't play their game. In fact, he said he was coming out to bim and drain the swamp. He's going to bim and blitz their game. Now, the last year or so, he's been somewhat quiet until he started endorsing people for the midterm elections in the States. Now, let me step back a little bit. Why are we focusing on something in the US when we're in Australia and New Zealand? Okay, I know there's people in Canada and the US here as well. So, guys, this is more for our local audiences here. Why are we focusing on that? The reason we are is because it directly affects our politics here in Australia and New Zealand. And if you don't believe or understand that, you're not paying attention at all.
That's why we created this podcast, though, wasn't it? It's to help people pay attention, or at least kind of wake up and to what's really going on and how really connected we all are.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I love that you said that connected. I'm just going to ping back a little bit to Michael Tellinger. Guys, you've really got to watch that video. We will get the link. We will put it in the description here. Oh, I said I was going to do it. I forgot about the women sourdough, the next step to the sourdough. We might get to that. I'll put the link. I'll put it in the Telegram group. If you're not there, I'll put the link for the Telegram in there as well. But he talked about connectedness. And that's we're slowly heading back to that. So coming back to what I was saying about Trump, he is a big threat to the deep state. He is dismantling that. That's what I believe personally, and I've got to have faith in that. And the reason I've got to have faith in that is because if he does not succeed with the plan that I think is being set out, we are all 100% fucked. I can't put it any more bluntly.
Oh dear, but yeah, well, and I know. See, to me, when you use the word "if," then we don't know. But to me, I don't use the word "if." It's when.
When.
And if Trump's doing what it is, then we don't know. But there's no if in there. With all the information that we've been able to, has come into us to be able to research and listen to it. There's so much information out there that proves, without a single ounce of doubt, that ounce being gold ounce, that
I'll take silver.
Everything's under control. Everything is as it should be. And what we're seeing is basically all a massive movie play out to wake up as many people as possible. But this is a military operation. It's military.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
And it needed to be to clear out the shit that's being cleared out. Probably being cleared out as we speak.
And there's I'm just looking at I thought he was saying corridors. It sounded like Carter's, but I'm pretty sure he was saying corridors. But I'm probably wrong. Sorry, Sam's just said something. He made multiple references yesterday to corridors. To Carter's. And he's thinking maybe it's Jimmy Carter getting rounded up. Maybe it is. I've seen Jimmy Carter's face appear in a couple of videos recently, so maybe right. So for those watched it, and I know there's plenty on here that did. If you didn't, right near when he made the he said when he announced, he said, "I'm announcing my candidacy for president of the United States." That's it. He didn't say he is announcing his candidacy for president for 2024. Now that's
No.
important. That's really, really important.
The time out on that,
Okay.
because you and I watched that together yesterday, right?
Yep.
And we were both like deflated because
But I
we
did say
thought
he
we
didn't mention
we thought we
24.
heard what we
was it, Sam?
thought we heard what we didn't want to hear.
Yeah, that's right.
We thought there was something. And so we're like, did you hear that? It's like, so it's like, and of course that just set us off on sort of a sort of downward spiral, because, and it was just the way that it was presented, because I think they had 24 flashing on the 2024 flashing on the screen somewhere or whatever, but there was never, he never said it, and he never said that he was running for president for the United States Incorporated part of America. He just full stop for the United States, full stop.
So I want to. There's a perfect time to bring this out here, guys. I want you just to have a look at this. This is his application to run for presidency the first time. I just want to point something out. Donald J. Trump for president, comma, Inc. That's incorporated. So he wants to run for the president of the corporation. The corporation, by the way, that went bankrupt and defunct again in 2019, I believe. But now, have a look at... Go the right way. Ooh, that's the flood. Anyway, that's another story.
Couldn't hear anything that was playing. Couldn't hear anything you were saying when that was playing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that loud.
I could hear myself, so that's okay. Where am I looking here?
So this is a copy of the document for his application and
for
what
this
he
year.
What he announced yesterday.
So the first part, President of the United States. So just look at the top there of the United States. There's no incorporated. But what I want to point out is that President of the... Where is it? It actually has got Donald J. Trump, President for 2024, and it's got Republican Party, President of the United States. That's who's applying. So for those of you all been sleeping... Whoop, where am I? I need to get off that page. Back here. For those of you all been sleeping, Donald J. Trump was actually sworn in as President of the Republic of the United States of America. I think it was the 17th of January 2021. Might have been the 13th of January 2021. You'll note that's after the supposed insurrection date. Whether you believe that or not doesn't matter.
With the military present on that day?
For him, I think so.
Okay.
And what happens at the moment is because, believe it or not, the US is under a state of martial law. Everything is being run by the military. And if you take note, when Biden goes anywhere, he doesn't have any Marines looking after him. There's no Marines saluting him as he's getting on and off anything. They're all contractors. All of them. Go and have a look at any of the footage. You'll be able to see it. Donald Trump's still got Marines going around with him. They should tell you something. But because it's under martial law...
And he's flying in the big jets.
Yeah,
Air Force One.
That's right. And because the US is under martial law, the military make the decisions, essentially. They continue to vote for who will be their commander-in-chief every 3 months. And that's just come up again. And they went, yep, Donald J. Trump will be our commander-in-chief. And he said as much in the speech yesterday. He must have said commander-in-chief about 100 freaking times.
But just back on when you said that, when Trump was inaugurated there for the presidency, when they had that whole service for Biden coming in, that was actually a funeral service.
Yeah,
I've seen everything around there. It's like that's how asleep everybody is. It's like they're watching this on mainstream TV and they have no idea what they're looking at. No idea. It's like, it's just when you look at the bigger picture and you really have the confidence that what you're seeing is correct, then it's just a great big funny show that we're watching. What makes it painful is that our finances and the way that we live is all tangled up in this.
Yep.
and which is sort of like, just hurry the fuck up and get this thing done with, will you? You know, we want to start living the lives that we should be and we're meant to be living. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. But yeah, it was massive, massive comms that came out of his speech yesterday, and that's been broken down by our expert team of blooming detectives around the world that we're fortunate enough to be able to follow. And I'm pretty sure most of the people that are here watching in this are up with the play on a lot of things.
I think so too. I'll just share this here. Just to reiterate what I've just said, the US Military High Command administered an oath of office to President Trump on the 19th of January 2021, extending his term as elected Chief Executive Officer of the American Republic. Okay? That term continues in effect today, renewed every 3 months, which is what I just said, under the 1807 Insurrection Act that President Trump signed in January of 2021 because he knew what was about to happen. So we really are watching this freaking great movie unfold. I mean, it's frustrating as hell at a lot of times. But I'll tell you what, get your popcorn ready because shit's just about to pop now. So I want to talk. Go. You got something to say, so say it, and then I'm going to show this other video.
Well, I guess it's sort of that, yeah, it's moving forwards. Oh, I can hear that one there. That's bloody.
Sorry, I've paused it.
Oh, okay. We're moving through into some manoeuvring for the financial world as well. I mean, what we were all watching, the whole world was watching yesterday. There's so much other stuff going on behind the scenes.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think one of the biggest things that's probably not talked about by any of the people, apart from the ones that know, is ISO 20022 and the ramifications of that.
Yep.
And what's coming on. But that's kind of a little bit off track to sort of where we've got it sort of going today. But it kind of like, we're expecting some big stuff to drop since that over the next 7 days, since yesterday. And so we're kind of right in the thick of all sorts of exciting things being revealed or things happening around the world. But certainly one of the biggest things potentially is is ISO 222. But I'll let you go and play what you wanted to play. Otherwise, we'll get off track with that. Not hard. This. Where is she?
I can figure out how your husband doing.
Are you still there, Andrew? Because we're still live.
Sorry,
I don't know.
I'm still here.
Gone.
I'm still here. As soon as I shared my my phone, it muted. So it just says, "Look, guys, don't quote me, but Nancy Pelosi. It looks like Nancy Pelosi has been taken into custody by federal marshals today. Q said arrested senior public officials. So, guys, that's huge in and of itself. But what I want to share with that is that Trump said yesterday that Nancy's gone to another country and she's been fired. Cuba's another country. What's in Cuba? Neil, what's in Cuba?
Is it, what's the short, was it called Gitmo? Is it Gitmo?
Guantanamo Bay. Ever seen, was it A Few Good Men?
But so if you think about the work that's gone on there, and you know, Trump, when he was in office, they put so many hundreds of millions of dollars into extending or expanding Guantanamo Bay. Now, Biden, on that note, had certainly in his build up to the presidency, was saying that he was going to undo all of that. Well, he hasn't done anything.
He's got the power.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
Well done, Virginia.
Yeah, firing squad.
Yep. Yeah. So that's the word, is that she's gone to Gitmo and she's already been executed. So we'll see, I guess. Everything that Neil and I are saying could be totally shit. I forgot to give our disclaimer at the start. Anything that we share is our opinion, and you should thoroughly go out and research it yourself. And what I've shared about about Trump still being president, about the Insurrection Act, all of that sort of stuff. It is all freely available online. The same as, and we've spoken about this before, Australia being on the US stock exchange, which
Yeah.
under, I can't even remember the which executive order it was, now belongs to the Republic of the United States. It doesn't belong to the corporation anymore because the corporation is bankrupt. Yeah.
So where's all the money gone?
Well,
Where's all the money?
Sam Bankman-Fried might be able to answer some of those questions.
Oh God! So if you think about the timing of everything around Trump's speech yesterday, you know, we have hours before that, FTX falling over, and then at the same time, during all of that, we've got Russia supposedly firing missiles into Poland, and sort of we're since finding out that it was come out of Ukraine. It's like, it's just everybody, was that the other side probably trying to create a false flag because they had no idea what Trump was going to be presenting.
They had zero.
announcing.
Exactly. And I think he forced their hand in that. I think they
Yeah.
did that. I think you hit the nail on the head then. A false flag attack. Because they had no freaking idea what he was going to say. And that's why all the media were there at Mar-a-Lago. Because they were shit scared he was about to drop the bomb on them all. Because, you know, from what I understand, from what I believe, again, my opinion, in 2017, he did a world tour. And in that world tour, they all capitulated to him. He became the king of Saudi Arabia.
So there's a video that came out that actually pinpointed his whole trip around there. I think there was at least 7 nations that he visited in that thing.
Yeah.
And that was by a guy called the Bonfire Guy.
Yep.
By the Bonfire Guy.
The Great
If you
Awakening, I
haven't
think
seen-
the video's called. It's awesome.
Yeah. Just, and like, you know, talks about when he walked in front of the Queen, when he he went into all these countries and basically slapped all the evidence on the table in front of them and go, you guys, this is it. You've got to capitulate here now, and you guys are done. You can either play our game or you're going straight to Gitmo.
Sorry, that was my
And-
bad. I'm getting the link for everyone. I'm going to chuck it in the...
Yeah, that's like, there's just there's information out there across the board, and you know, I guess like Andrew and I and so many other people out there, we're at a point where there's just so much information going out there. It's like we must be close to getting all the news that the rest of the world to wake up to what's really going on.
Yeah,
And the change.
I
the
think
flip.
and we spoke about it a week ago, and actually probably 2 weeks ago, about what happened in Brazil. You've only got to look at what's happening there right now. And what I guess we need to remember as people is that we are the ones who are supposed to elect the officials that govern the country, right?
Yeah.
At the moment, that's not the case. They're being selected by the cabal, the global elite, or the globalists, whatever you
So-
want to call them.
So I read somewhere this morning that in Germany that they're going to
Do another election.
redo the election.
I
Yep,
saw that.
yep, which is their 2021 election. Yeah.
And the same thing, I dare say the same thing will happen here in Australia. And I dare say the
Yeah.
same thing will happen in Brazil. Now, what if we come back to what was said yesterday, and if we understand, and I know this week we said we were going to do Nasara, we pushed that to next week just because of the current events. And if and I know probably a lot of people on here have got an understanding of Jassara anyway, but one of the things of a Jassara is that when that flip happens, is that there is supposed to be new elections within 120 days. So that's 4 months, right? So I think what will happen is this is going to happen. We're going to see this Black Swan event. We've already seen the start of it. We haven't seen the end of it yet. And FTX is the start of it. There's going to be a lot more fallout from that because the media, the mainstream media in the US, is already covering a connection between FTX, the Ukraine, and the money coming back into the Democratic Party.
Democrats. Yeah.
So they're already starting to cover it. So the truth will break, and then it's all going to cascade. It's going to be like it's a. Have you ever seen a dam with a
Domino.
crack in it, just a little bit of water, and then it's that's what it's going to be like. And we were only just seeing the start of the Black Swan event. Now, if you know what a Black Swan event is, it's a major financial event. Now, whether you like it or not, the financial events, the collapses that we've had over the last 100 plus years have all been manufactured. They've been manufactured to put the working class people back on their ass because they might be just getting ahead, so that they'll be pulled into line. If you look at Stalin, I've already said that Stalin wasn't a good man. He starved the Armenians after the Second World War to pull them into line. He created a famine. That's the power that they've got here when they had the global money supply. Now, I'll just pause on that for a reason, is because they've run out of money. Their supply's been cut off. The Federal Reserve went back to be controlled by the US Treasury 3 or 4 years ago.
And who did that?
Donald J. Trump.
Yeah.
Like, he is literally the best president. I don't give a shit what anyone says. Literally the best president the United States has had since JFK. And I'm still not sure that he died on that day either.
It's an operation. I think it's a continuation of the operation he started.
Yeah.
Or
I agree.
he's still having a big part to play in that, or he's certainly carried on. If he isn't, his son's certainly carrying that on.
100%. From what I understand, he was, but I believe he did actually recently pass away in the last couple of years at 115. Yeah. And people go, 100, nobody lives to 115. Yeah. They do with the technology that's coming.
Like, when you go back hundreds of years and how long people live for. And I actually had this conversation this morning with my partner, and it's like, it's like we're conditioned to believe that 85 is how long we should live for, but the technology is out there, or the ability that's out there. We could live for a couple of 100 years.
Yep.
And when you know how our bodies function and that they can heal themselves, then I believe that's a true possibility and something else that's been hidden from us. So it's like, it's just like, you can't say that we can't live to that age when there's so much stuff that's been hidden from us in our past. And it's like, so how do we, this is what we're all waiting for. This is what really, to me, is the big reveal is the actual truth.
Yep.
The truth on our history, our true history, our ability to heal ourselves, our ability to live financially abundant and free from the need to be part of a slavery system. That's the real truth that we're all waiting for. And there's going to be a process moving through to do that. And we're witnessing this. If you're watching this and you're paying attention, you'll see that this whole thing is speeding up. It's speeding up, it's speeding up, it's speeding up.
It's really picked up momentum.
There's just drops coming left, right, and center. It's getting to the point where it's hard to keep up. It's almost like a 24-hour thing.
Yeah. And look, there's lots of things that's happened that you could just, it's like intuition. Like I always, when I did the Quantum Connection podcast all those years ago, I spoke about intuition. And intuition is one of those things where it is your sixth sense. And whether you understand it or not yet is irrelevant. It will come to you if you work on it and hone it. Now, intuition is one of those things where things just seemingly happen and you're like, no, I didn't really make that happen, or I didn't really think that was going to happen, or you brush it off and say that's got nothing to do with what I thought, right? It's a coincidence, which there's no freaking such thing as a coincidence. Carry on, Neil.
Well, just on that note, so my partner sent some Christmas cards yesterday to a family in the UK. And this is how our conversation started this morning. And the cost to send it over there was crazy. Now, that conversation started about that because she had a giggle. She said, I just sent the cards yesterday and she's messaged me today. There's a message from her. It's like, is that a coincidence? Or the fact that she put intention to pen, writing the address and a name, putting it in the post, that there was some other connection that happened that made her go, shit, I must contact her. Bang.
Yep.
How many times has that happened in your own lives when you've been thinking about somebody or just talking about them, and it's like all of a sudden you're talking to them?
Yep.
We
100%.
are so connected on a level. And Michael Tellinger shows us how that happens. and it comes through our pineal gland and the bloomin' and cones. Oh my God, cones are so powerful. Oh,
Absolutely.
how do we get? We got sidetracked. We got
Oh no,
completely sidetracked.
I can't even remember what I was talking about now.
Oh, but I see Corolla down there in Canada. They tested the emergency alert system there yesterday in Canada.
Giddy
Now, I
up.
read something else about Canada coming
Yes.
shortly.
What did we talk about planting the flag? You talking about that? In Mars. Did you watch the video? Okay, so I watched the video this morning, and it Trump said yesterday about planting the flag on. We know where Mars is. As he said it, we know where Mars is. We're going to plant the flag on Mars. Well, for those of you who don't know, Mars, the rover, again, my opinion, guys, the rover has been roving around somewhere in Canada. And so what he's getting at is that Canada will, because of the corruption, right, from the UK, and when I say the UK, I'm talking about the entire United Kingdom. Hey, see, Carol knows. The entire United Kingdom, that includes Australia, New Zealand, Canada, any British colony, right, will eventually, well, in fact, it already has, come under US. So we're all be part of the US kingdom, if you want to call it that. It's really interesting. I mean, I know, I listen to myself and go, man, you're freaking crazy. So anyone that hasn't read anything that I've read would be like, oh my God, this guy is from off the hinge.
But like when you actually look at all people out there that are asking the questions why, there's probably a couple of million of us, if that, globally. And the rest of the world thinks that we're conspiracy theorists, that we're idiots, we don't know what we're talking about, and
because they're plugged into the mainstream media.
Yeah, and knowing how that comes right back down. I think we started the first thing about Project Mockingbird. Is it Mockingbird?
We spoke about that. Yep.
Yeah, and it's like this whole thing that is pulling the wool over everybody's eyes. It's conditioning them, and like just that other article that we talked about this morning, Andrew, kind of highlights more on that part of it as well.
Yep.
The whole distraction of humanity. My daughters and how they're just all connected into these bloody things, and the psyop bloody stuff that comes from that, and the controlling mechanisms is just crazy. But it's on so many different levels. What's your take on Trump calling
Xi
Jinping, the king of China? Well, that would be that. On that note, Sam, that would be his kingdom, and
right.
the king of that area.
One of the 7 kingdoms, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you guys, if you haven't watched that Awakening video, the Great Awakening video that I posted up there before, definitely go and watch it, because it talks quite a bit about Xi Jinping. Now, we all know Xi Jinping is the communist leader, and now he's president forever, right? He's just proclaimed that. He's been cleaning up the Communist Party there. There's been a lot of people, and you probably saw something. There was a bit of a power struggle probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, where there was the meeting, and the ex-president sort of had a stumble, and they said he had a medical episode, but apparently he was taken out and tried and executed. That's one of the stories I've heard. But if you look back at his actions over the last 10, 15 years, he has been cleaning up. He's been taking the corruption out. So it's very, very interesting. I mean, if we're to listen to all the people that we've already listened to, and that we're saying, about the information that we've shared you today, they would say that China's already become a republic again. And I want to believe that. I guess we'll see.
But if you think about what we're just talking about in China and just taking them straight out, Trump's brought that up on several occasions now in his rallies. It's like talking with him. It's like, well, how do you deal with this? Well, we bring them in, we put them through trial. They're found guilty. They're taken out the back and shot. No crime.
Oh, that's something else he said yesterday. He said about quick trials. Is that what you were talking about just now?
Because he's using on what they do in China, what he does, how they deal with it, and I'm like, well, that's how you tidy up all crime, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You catch them, trial them, kill them, done.
Neil, I've said that about cancer.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about cancer in the body now, am I?
Now
Sorry,
you're
that's
gonna
a
have to
totally
explain.
different story for another day, for another podcast.
Oh no, you
that
went there. You
that
went
and
there.
double decker buses.
Uh-oh.
Anyway,
Whoops.
moving right along.
Aidan and Sam will know exactly what we're talking about. I think Virginia will as well.
maybe.
Oh dear.
So Aiden said that Australia was gifted as compensation to the USA in 1910 for the Civil War. Possibly, but I know the Lima Act, and Sam brought up the Lima Act. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago, and Sam shared it was the Lima Act. Of course it was. Gulf Whitlam basically sold, if they did sell to the USA at that stage, then they sold again to the United Nations when Gulf Whitlam was in power. But even if that's the case, everything now belongs to the Republic, and the Republic is run by Donald J. Trump, so he has the power of it all. And we will see. I thought we'd see the stock market go to zero, but I've read something else that maybe we won't. I don't know that it needs to go to zero, or maybe it does, for this event to happen. We've seen the start of it. We know the banks are illiquid. They don't have any money. Deutsche Bank hasn't had any money for freaking 3 years. 3 years Deutsche Bank have been bankrupt. They've been trading insolvently for that long. That's what I believe. According to news that I got back then. I got called out on it, and I was like, okay, sweet as, whatever, but it's all starting to show now. The cracks are there, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The cracks are getting bigger and bigger, and to the point where your little crack in the dam's about coming into a flood. Now's a good time to play your little.
That's exactly what I was about to do.
And you see, it's like Andrew's starting to do something that I was thinking right there. Without even talking between us, he's already going to find it on his phone.
This is what's going to happen.
Well, that's already happened in Australia, that one, isn't it?
That's what's about to happen. It was New South Wales. Hey, so something else that came out the back of that is apparently foreign troops.
Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
What?
It's still playing in the background. Still playing.
How about now?
Now you got it. Yeah, you got it.
I'm sure everyone else could hear me. Doesn't matter. Well, it does. It does. It actually matters quite a lot. So that there, foreign troops have been requested to assist with the flood cleanup.
Ooh, finally.
Yeah. What flood are we talking about?
That you just played though
Yep.
is of a dam that they let go
In New South
Aussie
Wales.
somewhere.
Yeah, New South Wales. Yep.
So yeah, it's like wow, when those things go, you can't, that body of water, you can't hold back. And back to sort of what we were saying is you know, all this information, and they're talking about the domino effect. We'll just look at the domino effect in the crypto exchanges that are collapsing and going bankrupt. The bullshit that's going on in there.
FTX.
Yeah. But not only that too, you know, we always have to remember what we're seeing and put in front of us. It means there's something bigger going on somewhere else. So they're going to look over here when we should be looking over here.
Yeah.
And it's like what's going on? And so if you think about just the crypto space, the crypto space is getting hammered right now. But is that distracting us away from the fiat space, and which is friggin' 90 times bigger than the crypto space, if not more? The corruption and the failures that are happening in there. It's much bigger.
Yeah, 100%.
It's huge.
And guys, if there's a guy on YouTube that we both Neil and I listen to called Crypto Lulu. If you want to go and have a watch of his stuff, he talks a lot about XRP and XLM. Not financial advice, but nothing we give here today is financial advice. It's just our opinion, and we're just a couple of idiots.
It's just a joke. We're just
don't know what we're talking about. Just a couple of Kiwis from back on the farm. But yeah, go and have a watch of his stuff, particularly his last couple. He talks about having the list of the banks that have already signed up to ISO 2022. In that video he talks about the European bank trying to slow that down until March. It's not going to slow down. That's just a little red herring. So definitely go and watch it. Dawn Kelly did a video explaining the flags and Oh, cool. Is Aiden? Was that about? So just putting that up there. Was that the flags at Mar-a-Lago yesterday? Is that what you're talking about? Because there was 33 flags in total. There was 20 in shot. There was what was it? There was 17 chandeliers and 533 seats.
Gold seats.
Gold seats. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, gold coloured seats at least.
Yes.
Optics. Everybody's sort of looking and focused on this one person and his lips moving up there and some sound coming out of it. But you just got to look at the bigger picture of everything that was going on in that scene.
Remember back, probably 2018, 2017, 20. I mean, the media just absolutely hounded Trump anyway. They were absolute assholes. But remember how they said he was a bumbling buffoon? Like, I'm paraphrasing what they called him, but you can't even string a coherent sentence together. You can't even get a spelling and everything right. All of that's for a reason. It's all communications.
Yeah. I mean, so yesterday people were talking about how many times did he take a sip out of his drink bottle?
Yeah. Was it 3 or 4?
I know.
At least he wasn't doing these ones this time.
But if you think about what we're saying here, how many times have you watched your favorite movie, and every time you've gone back to watch it, you pick up something different.
That's right.
It's like, oh, I didn't see that. Wow, it's like, oh, I didn't see that. And it's like, yesterday was no different. If you go back and watch that several times, and actually you look at, I guess, the truth seekers movement and the optics or the information that they've taken out of that and brought it into context for us, so that we're not as disappointed as we were initially yesterday.
Yep.
It's like, wow, it's like we're I mean, if we just turned off our screens yesterday and go, oh, fuck it, that's it, I'm done with this, we wouldn't have been doing today's podcast on it. We would still be kicking the freaking can down the road with it. Or we'd be talking about Jazeera, which this is all leading to anyway.
Part of it. Exactly. But that's the funny thing, though, is like what I said yesterday is like, I'm pretty sure I said it. What this tells me is that we need to participate in our own rescue. And we do. We can't wait for somebody to come and save us. And that's part of what's happening here. I believe that's part of why Brazil's gone the way it's had. I mean, the media is not covering it, but there are literally millions and millions of people out in the streets. The military is apparently the military has said no, the election was illegitimate. So there'll be another one happen there. But guys, that's to get us to realize that, well, hold on. If we want change, we've got to get out in the street and demand change. And we got to get out there in numbers. And we did it earlier in the year. We got 1 million people in Canberra. It's funny, I saw a video on that. Somebody was asking questions of the police commissioner. It must have been during question time in Canberra. And she said, now in these reports, you've said that there were no more than 10,000 people there. Is this accurate? I need to get back to you on that. Like, she wouldn't answer the freaking question. Like, there was 1 million people there, and Sam and Virginia were there. They can back me up on that. That's what we need to do. We need to do more of that because we have that power. We need to demand to the in sovereign nations, not sovereign nations. That's not the word I'm looking for. Crown nations, for lack of a better word, they've got a governor general. They need to go to that governor general and go, this is we're not happy with this. You need to dissolve this parliament. I mean, I'm pretty sure our governor general's been absent anyway.
So that everybody's still sleeping, and the majority is still sleeping.
More people waking.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like we're at a point now where they need to be woken, and from what we understand is that they're going to get a short, sharp shift really quickly or really soon on that. And so let's talk about Australia and the ports shutting down there, and what's going on behind that with the military coming in. All that's supposed to sort of start happening tomorrow.
17 ports around Australia.
Now on that, that's going to drive up the cost of diesel. It's going to disrupt the whole of Australia pre-Christmas, and it's going to get people off their seats and go, "This isn't fucking good enough." What the hell is going on? So it's like I think everybody's going to get a short, sharp shift. Now that potentially is going to have ricochet or ripple effect right around the world in diesel prices and everything that's going on. There was something that I read earlier on where whenever there's been a stock market crash and stuff like that sort of thing going on, that the Australian system has always come out pretty good on top of all these other crashes in the past. So this is going to have a big effect into that whole thing as well. So it only takes one country to go through for this to happen in, and so Aussie could be the catalyst for some massive stuff coming out.
Everyone's so fucking stupid.
Oh dear, that's funny. That's funny. Perfect timing. But you know, this is yeah. I guess we're probably we could be wrong. I'd love to think that we're right. That things are picking up. This crack in the dam is about ready to just split wide open, and everybody's going to well, people like Andrew and myself. Andrew's been more vocal than me. I've been the quiet one here. Really, I'm actually enjoying coming out to be able to speak more openly on an open forum. But there's so many of us out there that are struggling because people just got their head in the sand and don't want to listen. So vindication, I think, is probably what we want. And of course, the longer that it sort of drags out, the more restless we'll get, frustrated. It's certainly an exercise of patience. But on kind of what we're doing, and certainly we started doing this because we felt that we had a fairly big audience that which we consider family, that we've gathered over the last 4 or 5 years in what we've been doing.
Yeah.
And then that brings into where I'm going with that, Andrew, is the shadow banning.
Oh yeah.
You know, if you look at us just talking openly from our hearts, trying to share, you know, good stuff in a lighthearted fashion, it's not getting out there to the people. You go and have a look at the views on our podcast, and they're pathetic compared to the reach that we both have with the audiences. So I guess if you guys are watching from behind the screen, not our audience, but the ones that monitor this, stick it up your fucking ass. We're coming at you anyway. You know, we'll find a way.
Tell them
around
hell's
it, you know?
coming. No, tell them I'm coming and hell's coming with me.
Yeah. I'm probably going to knock on the door in a minute.
Sure.
No,
Mr. Morrison, come with me.
Oh dear.
But you know,
yeah.
everything that we've said, we believe. Okay, it's our opinion.
Yeah.
We believe it. And I believe it for a pretty good reason, and I said it before. But if we're wrong, then we've been the victims of one of the best coordinated psyops I've ever seen.
If we're wrong, we're all fucked.
Oh, it's
Simple as that.
You're just echoing.
Oh,
That's
okay.
great. That's perfect. No, you said it perfectly.
You know, it's like we need to be right because I mean, from the podium, I've talked about moving or coming into the golden age.
Yeah,
This is we're at the precipice of that right now. But
Ooh,
for that to
that's a
happen,
good word. Precipice.
I know I'll have to go and look it up afterwards. But we'll have to. Sorry, I lost the train. I just heard you say it one time. I'm sure. Well, anybody that's followed us around the traps.
This is how we used to be when we were delivering stuff all over the world. We'd just absolutely take the piss out of each other.
It was fun, and those fun days are coming back again. That's what excites me. But my girls are still looking at me today, going, "Dad, what the fuck are you on about?" Or they're at a point now. It's like, well, when? You said it was going to happen then. It's like, well, okay, we're not there yet,
No,
so it's like I'm at a point where I don't know when it's going to happen. I just know it's going to happen, and when it does,
that's one of the things. I think if we come back to yesterday for a second, we've got like 5 minutes left. If we come back to yesterday for a second in the announcement, I think what upset most people is they kind of expected Trump to come out and say, "Right, we've got it all, guys. You're all screwed." But we're not at that point yet. If he was to do that, there'd still be so many people that would go, "What? You're crazy." Now, again, I want to reiterate that he announced his candidacy for president, not of what year. Okay, everyone took that. That's what he meant. But he also said in his speech that under the current regime, they can't last until 2024, and they can't. Now, and everything's been done in a shroud of secrecy because you don't let your enemy know what the fuck you're doing, right? They know what the white hats know what the bad guys are doing because they've had NSA women spying on them for however many years. That's how they've got all that information. But they don't know what the white hats are doing. They have no idea, and that's why there were so many reporters there. Why over 50 media outlets from over 50 countries were there yesterday. That was a big deal. They were expecting something big, and that's why, and that's where I was going before. That's why there was that false flag on Poland. Because if he'd have dropped the bomb and said, "These guys, we've got all this on this shit. This is what they've done. Done X. They've done. These are the people that went to Epstein's Island. These are the people that have been trafficking children." If they'd have done that, you're damn right that missile that dropped on Poland and killed two people would have been Russia, right? Because they needed something, and that's why it was a preemptive strike on their part. They had no freaking clue what Trump was going to say. They needed that out there to go. If it turned bad, they could go, "Oh, look at what Russia's doing," and distract you and put everything over there. That's what that was about.
That was the false flag to set up World War III.
100%.
And distract away from everything. Yep. It's the same thing that they did when Rumsfeld came in 2000 and announced that the military was $2 trillion.
We've lost $2.7 trillion. Wow,
and then the very next day, bloody 9/11 happens, and everybody forgot about that. It got swept under the rug.
Yes. Now, what else was supposed to happen on that day? On that day,
there was lots of things that were meant to happen
on that day. NESARA. So this is something. NESARA started as NESARA. It was national. Now it's global. That's why it's just SARA.
Yeah.
And it has had some iterations since that. But on that day, NESARA was supposed to be announced. On September 11th, 2001, NESARA was supposed to be announced. It had already been agreed upon. And they were going to bring the criminals to heel. But that happened instead. That's how much power they had. They underestimated what was going to happen then. So make no mistake, that was, in my opinion, an own goal. That was a false flag. That was shit. We're in the shit. We need to women create a massive distraction, and then we had old woman George Jr. going into to Iraq for WMDs. Oh, some of the gaffes that have been coming up with lately have been funny. Women Biden said something about Fallujah last week. I'm like, what the fuck?
Hey, that's something we missed today. Weren't Obama and Clinton meant to do? Was it Clinton or was it Bush? Today meant to do a live stream about conspiracies and false information and all that sort of stuff. That was meant to happen today somewhere.
Shit, I have to go and find it.
Missed that. Yeah, I'm sure that I saw something around that. That'll be funny to see what they're talking about today.
Too funny. But guys, hey, if you haven't already, please like, subscribe to the channel. I know it is my channel, but anything Neil and I do will always be on here, so you'll always find it. But guys, share it. Share the if you found value in the information, share it with people. Make sure that they're watching it. It's a little bit of lighthearted way of putting it out there. Again, it's our opinion. It's entertainment. Some of the things we say are tongue in cheek, but they carry what I believe quite a big element of truth in them.
Well, yeah, I think let's take on the shadow banning boys and let's show them that just simply with a small team we can share it and overcome their bullshit. Bang, 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 bang.
Absolutely. If each of you share it with 2 people, and if they share it with 2 more people,
holy
hold
cow,
on, where have I seen that before?
Let's tokenize this. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, why not? Fuck it.
Yeah, share it. Let's tokenize the shadow banning. Great stuff.
Well, brother, as always, it's been a pleasure to be here with you, mate.
We've got something inspirational to finish on, or was that it?
Yeah, look, I have actually. No, I have. Hold on, let me dig into my repertoire. Readjust myself, get myself up my seat. Guys, what we have shared today, again, we believe in what we've said. We created this show under the rug for 2 reasons. One, so you could see all of the shit that is being swept under the rug, or at least maybe even have it confirmed for yourself from somebody else that thinks similar to you. Because let's face it, there's a lot of people that don't think like us. That's changing slowly. We share it so you can see what's coming under the rug, but also for the plus side of it, that out of the back end of this, and I fully believe this, I really fully believe this with every fiber of my being, that out of the back end of this, something magical comes from it. A new financial system where you're not enslaved by debt. Now, that's a usury system, right? The debt system is a usury system that's been around for a long, long time, and it has been used to enslave you. It's modern day slavery. That's all it is. That's all it is. You give up your time each and every week if you're still unfortunate enough to work a job. You give up your time for an employee that would probably replace you in a heartbeat if you died or whatever, who doesn't give a shit about you, but you give up time away from your family and you trade that time for these little paper things that we call money to buy bullshit, to try and keep up the Joneses. Our media tells us that we continually need to buy stuff to be up with the play. Yeah, none of our ancestors needed that. We only got to go back 120 odd years, maybe 140 odd years, and parents were teaching their children how to read and write. Right? It wasn't the government that needed to do that. It was us. It was our responsibility. Over the past 100 years, we've been told countless times that we can abdicate responsibility. You've only got to look at how stupid the legal system is. That if I'm breaking into your house and I fall through a window and cut myself on a knife, that I can sue you because you left your knife out and I'll win. That's the joke of our legal system. It's the same with the education system. So out of the back end of this, we're going to have a lot of knowledge come to us. You might think, I don't want to learn any more shit. That's okay. It's going to be downloadable. What you saw in the Matrix about being plugged in and what? I know Kung Fu? That shit is real. We're going to be able to have that. If you want to regenerate, if you want to go backwards in time with your age, you'll be able to do that. It sounds like a whole heap of phooey when I listen to it and I'm like, Andrew, you're fucking crazy. No, I'm not. This is what's coming. A golden age, like Neil said, is what's coming. And that's why we're doing this show, is because we want to give you that hope. It's coming. And I tell you what, there's no other people that I'd rather celebrate it with than people that are already awake and know what's coming.
And just to back up, Andrew, go and watch the YouTube video from Michael Tellinger. Because he is basically showing you, so Michael Tellinger is showing you what's been taken or hidden from us. That's coming. So we want to go and see what the future looks like and can be like. Michael Tellinger nails it in that video.
I'm just going to find that video and I'm going to post that link as well.
Yeah, but it's like what Andrew just said. And to do that there, watch that video. I watched it on 1.5 speed, so it's 3 hours. I think I got it done in about 2.
Yep.
But I couldn't get away from it. I was that drawn to it and what it's about, and that's exactly what Andrew's just been talking about, and the future that we have, and how we're actually going to live in the future, and the type of things we're going to do. That'll all fall into place. How that's going to look, or how we could potentially make it look. When you've watched that YouTube video, Michael Tellinger. It was great. Thank you very much for John Vasseur for sharing that with me a couple of days ago.
I just dropped the link to that video and also the link to our Telegram group if you want to. Oh, what are you grateful for, bro?
Oh, beautiful. I really enjoyed today. I felt a lot more comfortable and just easy talking to everybody and talking. Well, I mean, I'm talking to you like we normally talk, and wow, just love it. I can, let's do more of this. Let's Thank you for being here with me and everybody else that's here today. Thank you.
Yeah. Same goes for me. I'm grateful for all of you guys out there tuning in with us. Grateful to be here with my brother Neil, and grateful for what's coming, guys. Because and that's the thing. I've said this plenty of times from the platform. You don't get something and then be grateful for it. You be grateful for it and then it arrives. And that's, if you go back to saying grace for dinner, you always say that before you eat, not after you eat. So just keep that in mind, guys. Been a pleasure to be here with you. Love you all. And we'll be here same time next week. Peace out.
See you guys.